It was 2003. We did this around the world tour. The entire America team at the time. We're in Hawaii and there's this double set right on the main street in Waikiki. Tosh was, I think he was doing a lip slide, like gap to lip slide down the rail. Reynolds was just sitting on this bench and some local just walks up and slaps, full arm, whap, slaps Reynolds across the face. And the guy starts saying all this stuff about like, this is our island. What are you doing here? There was like 10 of us all right around. So basically there's this brawl that breaks out. What Heath did was amazing. Heath just comes running. He was kind of over by Tosh, like 30 feet away. Full speed, jumps, and as he's coming down towards the guy, full flying punch in the air. I knocked the guy out. This was just such an amazing single punch. And that was the end of it. Heath 100% had his bros back. It's all you could want. Eric Ellington used to love to fight, kind of for fun. One time we were walking out of the Casbah in San Diego, and this guy's walking up with us, and he's like, hey, what's up? The guy's like, yeah, you're not so hot, or something. And Eric's just like, what? And just punches the guy, and they start fighting. I'm standing there pulling Eric off, and he's like, no, it's cool, we're just fighting. Just love to fight. He just loved to take a punch, you know? Like, 97 or 98, I was de facto team manager at Tum Yeto. They did this amateur trip. We just did a demo at skate park at Tampa. I'm gonna try and think of who all was there and then you guys can kind of figure out. Adrian Lopez, Scotty Kopelman, Eric Ellington, Staba, Brian Anderson, John West, Daniel Haney, Carey, Mike Maldonado, Bam, Hairball Harrison was there. From that group, you're gonna have to kind of figure out who did what. We're leaving Masquerade. Everyone's just like, hookers! So we drive by that place, Ybor Strip. As we pull in, we realize they're closed. And there's this car sitting in front of the entrance to the place. And this girl in the passenger seat is like, oh, they're closed. Someone in the back goes, where can we get hookers? The girl's like, oh, you guys don't want that. That's expensive. So the girl gets out of the car, kind of says, you guys really want a hooker? Oh, let me add. So Alyssa had gone back to Fort Myers, so she was not with us, okay? She's like, well, how many of you guys? And it turns out like 8 of the dudes were like, she's like, well, I'll meet you guys. How much? She's like, well, like, that's $300. She was ready to take on 8 dudes for $300. Go back to the hotel. I'll never forget because it was room 69. After like 45 minutes or an hour, she shows up and it's just like, come and get me. I'll just say this, Mike Maldonado was the only dude in the whole group that performed his duties. At least one kid lost their virginity that night, and then like 3 or 4 other people tried. I've never told the story to anyone in skateboarding, I don't think. It was the most surreal thing I've ever been a part of, ever. Lived with Sturt, summer of '87 to summer of '89. He worked at Uncle Wiggly, which was the same wood factory that made Sim snowboards. He would bring home snowboards if there was like one defective part. He'd bring them home by the dozens. He gave me one, so I had a snowboard, but none of my friends did. I mean, at one point I think there was probably 20 or 30 snowboards just leaning against the wall in our apartment. We asked him and he just said, no, you can't have any. I think my friend Rob ended up taking one. He found out, he threw all the snowboards away. So they were all in the dumpster. So I take them up and I put them in my room. I'm gonna give them to my friends. He freaks out, he takes them back from me, and I don't know what happens to him. So that's kind of part 1. So this is the point when Jason and Jesse rode for GNS clothes. One day Jason and Dan walk into the apartment with like 200 pounds worth of clothes. They take scissors and they cut the sleeves off right here. They do that to all the t-shirts, using the t-shirt sleeves for head-ons. Everyone would put on a head-on, put their helmet over it so it would keep the sweat off. So they wasted 80 t-shirts. That's kind of part 2. Now the third part is we were poor, and at one point he just decided he was gonna stop buying toilet paper. I was like, Dan, pay me back for some toilet paper? And he's just like, no. And I was just like, forget this. I started taking the toilet paper into the bathroom from my room until we moved out. So I think it was probably 6 months, 8 months or something. I just figured he's not going to the bathroom. So here, that snowboard time, right? When he took the snowboards back from me, a day or 2 later, I'm driving in the parking lot. So I look up and I see Dan putting the snowboards on the roof of the house. Go in the apartment, he leaves, I make sure he drives away, and I climb up on the roof. What the hell's he doing with these snowboards? On the roof are all the snowboards, and I also discovered that instead of using toilet paper for at least a long time, I don't know what it was, he'd taken all those t-shirts, and every time he had to go to the bathroom, he used a t-shirt and wiped his butt with it, walked out to the front of the house and threw it up on the roof. Because there's like 30 shit rags and 15 snowboards up on the roof of our apartment. I've never talked to him about it ever since. I didn't tell that story probably for like 10 years. It is a perfect story, and he's a different dude now. It's gonna be funny to see how he reacts to this if he ever sees it.